It was a bright afternoon in Florence, Italy, the kind of day when the streets were full of tourists, artists, and travelers wandering between historic buildings and small boutiques. Among the crowd walked a quiet man in black jeans, an old band t-shirt, and round sunglasses. His hair was tied back. His steps were slow and relaxed, unnoticed by almost everyone. No entourage, no chaos, no spotlight. Just Ozzy Osbourne, enjoying a rare day of peace. He had slipped away from the noise of fame to explore the city's art scene. Florence was known for its Renaissance masterpieces, and Ozzy had always been fascinated by art, especially dark, dramatic pieces that told a story. As he wandered through a narrow alley, he noticed a small but elegant art gallery. The front windows glowed with warm lighting, and inside hung large canvases framed in gold. A sign read, "Exclusive collection for serious buyers only." Ozzy smirked. Well then, let's see what they got. He pushed the door open gently. A cold blast of air conditioning hit him, followed by the sharp stare of a woman standing behind the counter. She was dressed in a tailored blazer, with her hair pulled tightly into a bun. Her expression didn't soften, not even when Ozzy gave a polite nod. She stared at him from head to toe, her eyes narrowing. "Can I help you?" she asked in a tone that suggested the opposite. Ozzy smiled. "Just looking around. Love, beautiful place you got here." She folded her arms, unimpressed. "This gallery is for collectors. The pieces here are extremely valuable. Most tourists prefer the souvenir shops down the street." Ozzy blinked slowly. "Ah, I see." He walked deeper into the gallery anyway, admiring a large painting of a stormy ocean. Something about it pulled him in. Behind him, the employee followed, her heels clicking with irritation. "Sir, these artworks are not for casual browsing. They are very expensive." Ozzy leaned closer to the painting, appreciating the brushstrokes. "How much is this one?" The woman actually laughed under her breath. "Trust me," she said sharply, "tourists like you can't afford this painting." She had no idea who she was talking to, and no idea how badly she was about to embarrass herself, because what Ozzy said next left the entire gallery speechless. The moment Ozzy stepped deeper into the gallery, the atmosphere shifted. The employee, a woman in her mid-30s with sharp glasses and an even sharper attitude, followed him like he was tracking dirt onto her pristine floors. "Sir," she said, emphasizing the word like it tasted sour, "this section is for serious collectors. The price range might be outside your vacation budget." Ozzy tilted his head, amused but polite. "I just wanted to take a look," he said softly, his voice gentle, carrying none of the swagger that the world associated with the Prince of Darkness. She crossed her arms. "I understand tourists get curious, but these paintings aren't souvenirs, they're investments." She gestured dramatically at a glowing canvas on the wall. "That piece alone costs more than a luxury car." Ozzy smiled. "That's all right. I'm just browsing." She sniffed. "Browsing." Her tone made the word feel like an insult. A couple standing nearby watched quietly, exchanging uncomfortable glances. One whispered, "Why is she talking to him like that?" While another muttered, "Some people judge way too fast." But the employee continued her tirade, oblivious. "Sir, we also don't allow touching the frames," she said loudly, even though Ozzy's hands were nowhere near anything. "Some tourists take pictures and bump things. We prefer to avoid accidents." Ozzy chuckled softly. "I understand. I'll be careful." That made her pause. His politeness almost annoyed her. "Look," she said finally, lowering her voice as if she were doing him a favor. "If you want something affordable, we have a rack of prints near the entrance. The souvenir section, very popular with visitors on a budget." Several people raised their eyebrows. A man standing behind Ozzy whispered, "What is her problem?" But she ignored everyone except the target she had chosen. The tourist who didn't belong here. Ozzy walked toward another painting, one even more expensive than the first. The woman hurried after him like he was about to commit a crime. "That one," she said sharply, standing between him and the artwork, "is definitely not in your price range. It's from a private collection, and only the wealthiest patrons inquire about it." Ozzy looked at her kindly. "I'd still like to see it up close." She shook her head condescendingly. "Sir, people like you can't afford this one. Trust me." A wave of murmurs flowed through the gallery. Someone gasped. Someone else whispered, "She didn't just say that." But she had, loudly, proudly, confident that she had put him in his place. Ozzy simply smiled, not offended, just amused. He'd been underestimated many times before. Fame didn't matter to him. His clothes didn't matter to him. He enjoyed blending in. But this was different. This was judgment. Pure and simple. The tension grew heavier as more people started paying attention. A few even lifted their phones discreetly, sensing something worth capturing. And still, the employee doubled down. "Please, sir," she said in a voice dripping with superiority, "I don't want to waste your time. Or mine. You can look around the lower-priced items near the door. That's more appropriate." Ozzy blinked slowly. "Is that so?" "Yes," she said smugly, turning away like the conversation was over. She had no idea who she was talking to, how wrong she was, or how quickly this moment was about to become the most embarrassing of her entire career. Engagement break. "Have you ever been judged unfairly just by your appearance?" Comment below and tell me which country or city you're watching from. The gallery grew quieter as Ozzy stood there, still smiling politely, still trying to understand why he wasn't being allowed to look at the painting he liked. The employee, a woman in her mid-30s with sharp eyes and an even sharper tone, crossed her arms and let out a dramatic sigh. Sir, I really don't have time for this. These pieces aren't tourist-friendly. They're extremely valuable. Ozzy tilted his head slightly. I just want to see it. That one. He pointed again to the painting in the private viewing area. A vibrant, abstract piece with bold red strokes that immediately caught his eye. The woman didn't even look at the art. She kept her glare locked on him. Look, she snapped. People come in here all the time, just wanting to take pictures or pretend they were interested. If you can't afford anything, please don't waste my time. The rudeness stung a few customers around them. A couple browsing sculptures glanced over with raised eyebrows. A teenager in a beanie whispered to his friend, "Why is she talking to him like that?" But Ozzy didn't react. He simply let out a soft chuckle, that unmistakable Ozzy laugh, though nobody recognized it yet. I promise I'm not here to waste time, he said gently. I'm actually really interested. The employee rolled her eyes so hard it was almost theatrical. You say that, but this painting costs more than your entire vacation, sir. Ozzy paused, amused. Is that right? He said warmly. Exactly, she said, as if she'd proven some great point. Now, please don't touch anything. The oil's on your hands. I wasn't touching anything, Ozzy replied kindly. The woman let out another sigh of frustration. You know what? Let's not do this. The gallery is extremely busy today. Maybe you can go to one of the souvenir shops down the street. They have prints you might like. A quiet wave of discomfort swept through the room. People exchanged looks, the type of look that said, "This is getting uncomfortable." One elderly man whispered to his wife, "Poor fellow just wants to see a painting. That employee has no manners." Still, Ozzy stayed calm. "Miss," he said, voice still soft, "I really do appreciate art. I've collected for years." "Oh, really?" she scoffed. "Collected what?" "Postcards." Ozzy smiled. A big, warm, gentle smile, the kind that revealed he wasn't offended at all. If anything, he felt bad for her. "I don't mean to cause trouble," he said, hands open, palms out. "I just like this one. Reminds me of, well, different times." His tone was nostalgic, almost vulnerable, but she ignored it. "Sir, this area is for serious clients only. VIP collectors. People with real interest and real money." The word money echoed across the gallery. A few heads turned. A couple near the corner stared at Ozzy more closely. The man squinted. "Honey, doesn't he look familiar?" His wife shrugged. "I don't know. The hair, maybe. But she's talking to him like he's homeless." The man chuckled softly. "Yeah, but something about him." Meanwhile, the employee planted herself between Ozzy and the private viewing area like a guard dog. "Please step back," she insisted. "You're making others uncomfortable." Lived enough life, earned enough respect, and seen enough cruelty to understand exactly what was happening and still rise above it. And the gallery was moments away from discovering the truth. The atmosphere inside the gallery had shifted subtly at first, like a quiet breeze before a storm. A few customers continued pretending to examine paintings, but their eyes kept drifting toward Ozzy and the increasingly rude employee blocking his way. Ozzy simply stood there with his hands in his pockets, shoulders relaxed, his expression calm and patient. He had spent decades performing in front of millions, surviving scandals, headlines, and the harshest critics on earth. One snooty gallery employee wasn't going to ruin his day. If anything, he found the situation vaguely amusing, but the people around him, they were starting to get uncomfortable. A middle-aged couple whispering near a sculpture kept glancing over their shoulders. "That man looks familiar," the woman murmured. Her husband nodded slowly. "Yeah, he does. But no, that can't be him." Meanwhile, the employee continued her lecture, oblivious to the shifting energy around her. "Sir, please understand," she said, with a stiff smile that wasn't actually a smile. "This section isn't for photography or tourist browsing. It is reserved for serious clients, collectors, investors, not casual sightseers." Ozzy raised an eyebrow. "I didn't take any photos. I just liked the painting." That only irritated her further. "Yes, but liking something and affording it are two very different things." She spoke quietly, but with a tone sharp enough to cut glass. Ozzy had to bite back a grin. If she only knew. A young guy wearing headphones walked in from the hallway, stopping dead in his tracks when he saw Ozzy. His eyes widened so dramatically it looked like they might pop out of his head. "Dude," he whispered to himself. "That's Ozzy Osbourne." He didn't dare say it aloud yet because he wasn't entirely sure. Even shook their heads. A woman holding a luxury handbag frowned. "Why is she speaking to him like that?" Her partner whispered back. "She's judging him because of his clothes. Happens all the time in these places." But the young fan could no longer hold himself back. He stepped closer, eyes shining. "Excuse me?" he said politely. "Are you Ozzy Osbourne?" The employee rolled her eyes so hard it looked physically painful. "Oh please," she scoffed. "Do not encourage him. Tourists say all kinds of things. but the young man ignored her. His gaze stayed locked on Ozzy. Ozzy chuckled. Well, depends. Who's asking? The fan's jaw dropped. It was him, the Prince of Darkness, the icon, the legend. No way, dude, it really is you, he whispered, voice cracking with excitement. At that exact moment, 3 more people turned their heads sharply. Recognition flickered across their faces like the spark of a lighter. That can't be, it is. Oh my God, Ozzy. The employee blinked in confusion, her voice shrinking. Wait, what? Who? Someone finally said it loud and clear. Ozzy Osbourne, one of the most famous rock stars on the planet. And that was it. The gallery erupted in shocked murmurs. People who had stayed silent began stepping closer. Phones lifted. Customers exchanged astonished looks. Even the gallery's security guard did a double take, squinting, then standing straighter. But the employee, she was still clueless. That's impossible, she sputtered. Ozzy Osbourne wouldn't be here. He wouldn't dress like that. Ozzy finally smiled. A slow, amused, unmistakably Ozzy smile. Darlin', you'd be surprised where I show up. The crowd laughed. The employee turned pale. The power balance in the entire room had shifted completely, invisibly, and irresistibly. She had been judging him by his clothes, but now, everyone was judging her by her behavior. And Ozzy, he still hadn't even started. The real moment, the legendary moment, was coming next. The gallery had gone strangely quiet. People who had been casually browsing just minutes earlier were now pretending to study sculptures and canvases, but their eyes kept drifting back to the scene unfolding near the velvetroped exclusive Collector S section. Everyone could feel something was building, something awkward, something unfair, something that didn't sit right. Ozzy Osbourne stood there, still calm, still patient, still politely smiling behind the large tinted sunglasses that had effectively disguised him. He didn't look like a rock legend worth hundreds of millions. He didn't look like a man who had sold out stadiums across continents. He didn't look like royalty. He looked like just another tourist. And that was exactly why the gallery attendant felt justified in the way she spoke to him. Sir, she said with the same tight, irritated voice she had been using since he entered. I don't know how else to explain this to you. This area is reserved for serious art buyers, not for casual tourists taking photos for Instagram. The way she said tourists dripped with disdain. Ozzy didn't even have his phone out at his head, still smiling kindly. Well, he said softly, I'd still like to see it. The woman sighed dramatically, as if she were dealing with a stubborn child. Sir, the price of that painting starts at 6 figures. You don't want to waste your time. 6 figures, Ozzy repeated, sounding impressed. Lovely, lovely, she scoffed. Sir, that means over $100,000. Oh, I know, he replied. Her eyes narrowed. Are you trying to be funny? No, Ozzy said with a warm smile. Just trying to be polite. The room froze. The attendant blinked. Her mouth parted. Her posture stiffened. Her eyes widened in disbelief as she stared directly into the unmistakable face she had seen 1,000 times on posters, magazines, album covers, documentaries, and award ceremonies. The Prince of Darkness himself, Ozzy Osbourne. The whispers turned into shocked murmurs. Oh my God, that is him. No way. How did she not know? He's literally a legend. The attendant's hands began to shake. Her voice quivered. I didn't. I had no idea. Ozzy gave her a polite nod. "'Sall right, love. Happens all the time." The young fan from earlier finally broke the silence. That's Ozzy Osbourne, he said, louder this time. Gasps spread like wildfire across the room. A couple near the doorway whispered, "Oh my God, it is him. Why didn't she realize?" The employee's face drained of all color. Her smirk disappeared instantly, replaced by a trembling panic. She clutched her hands together awkwardly, unable to speak. Ozzy simply smiled, not angry, not arrogant, just quietly amused. "Now," he said gently, "can I see that painting I asked about?" Eager to fix the situation, guided Ozzy toward the private viewing room, the one he had been denied earlier. "We would be honored to show you any piece in the gallery," he said, "especially the one you requested." The double doors opened, revealing a beautifully lit room with a single spotlight shining on a grand, breathtaking canvas. The painting featured a stormy sky breaking open into light, dramatic, emotional, raw, a masterpiece worth more than a luxury car. Ozzy stepped closer, admiring it thoughtfully. "I'll take it," he said. "Have it shipped?" The manager nodded rapidly. Clips were shared on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, quickly racking up millions of views. The hashtag #OzzyBuys the painting was trending worldwide. News outlets picked up the story. Articles ran headlines like, "Ozzy Osbourne silences snobby gallery staff with humility, and cash and rock legend teaches lesson in respect at Paris Art Gallery." The viral clips highlighted more than just the celebrity reveal. They showed the stark contrast between Ozzy's calm demeanor and the staff's rudeness, used it as a lesson in humility. By the end of the week, Ozzy Osbourne's encounter at the gallery wasn't just trending, it was teaching a universal lesson. True respect is earned through character, not judged by appearances. And as millions celebrated his integrity, one thing became clear: Ozzy didn't Just by a painting that day, he painted a lasting picture of humility and respect for the entire world. Final call to action. If you believe everyone deserves respect, type respect in the comments and subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one.